Hello students, welcome to CrackGradeB online learning platform. So today we have special guest with us, Miss Parul Srivastava. She has cracked RBI Grade B 2023 exam. So first of all, many congratulations, Parul. And
Thank you, sir.
today we know your journey that how you prepared for this exam. And let me introduce Parul. She has done computer science engineering from HBIT Kanpur, and she is currently
HBTI.
Lucknow.
So HBTI Kanpur.
HBTI Kanpur. Okay. And she is pursuing currently, she is pursuing MBA in HRM. And today she will share her journey that how she is prepared for this exam. She has a UPSC background also. And in 2017, she completed her graduation. And after a gap of 6 years, she has cracked the RBI Grade B exam. And many students have made that gap year matters in RBI Grade B. So you will be an example for those candidates. And also many are afraid that they hide their UPSC preparation. So it will also be an example for those candidates. She has scored very good marks in an interview, I think 55 or 52,
55.
55. So she has also scored very good marks in the interview. So let's start your journey, Parul, that from phase one we will start. And
Sure, sir.
phase one this year, I mean, every year level of the phase one is increased. And
Right.
if we compare it with the UPSC CSAT,
Hmm.
so how you will rate it? Means it is difficult than UPSC CSAT, or it is equivalent, or it is easier, quant reasoning English of RBI.
Sir, as far as comparison is concerned, UPSC CSAT English is slightly tougher, I feel. But due to the nature of timed sections in RBI, there is no time limit in UPSC CSAT. You can attempt any question at any time.
Mm-hmm.
But since RBI is sectional timing, so that adds to the level of difficulty. But proficiency in English is important for both the papers, and quant level of quant somewhat comparable, I would say. Um there are certain questions in RBI which are easier and are doable, and one must attempt them to clear the cutoff. But otherwise, overall, I would say it is comparable. That much of reasoning does not happen in UPSC CSAT, very little. So reasoning wise, RBI is tougher.
And if we talk about the phase two also, so how much it is comparable with the UPSC preparation, that many students have made that someone is from UPSC background, then it is very easier for him or her to clear the phase two.
So I wouldn't say that it is a huge advantage, but at the same time, it is because the nature of the both the papers are descriptive.
Mhm.
So if one has the ability to take a topic and form a good answer with it with the proper structure, then that definitely helps. But as far as content goes, apart from basic understanding of economics, and if your optional matches somewhere like mine did at some in some parts of management syllabus, it has an advantage, but it is not a make or break advantage. It can easily be overcome if you're not an aspirant, a CSE aspirant as well.
Okay, so Parul, what were the sources you followed for the phase one preparation, or your UPSC preparation help in the quant and English? And reasoning was a new subject for you. So what were the major sources you followed?
So, sir, I gave 4 attempts for civil services examinations, and after that, I switched to banking exams. So, I was consequently appearing for IBPSPO, SBIPO, and these exams as well. And I appeared for mains several times in the PO cadre as well. So, my quant reasoning and English preparation started from there. My major source was mocks only. Any standard platform, one must take mocks to assess your preparation. And then there are plenty of resources available to work on topic wise sections. So my sources for phase one was only mocks. As far
And
as GA is concerned, I did use CrackGradeB course, and the all the GA was from there. You can supplement it from any other source in case you want to get a more thorough preparation. but that's what I used.
So how many month current affair you followed for this exam? And there are number of facts and figures you have to cram, a lot of facts and figures. Then what first strategy you followed for cramming
So,
the facts specifically?
so there is no strategy for cramming. I feel you have to revise again and again. I focused on 6 months, and beyond that, I did not do entire monthly stuff. And towards the end, when the exam gets closed, there are certain compilations or any roundup sources which you can refer to in case you have missed something important. So I did 6 months proper monthly stuff, and I supplemented it with that, a compilation, any compilation.
Okay. So notification was released in, I think, in May. So when did you
Hmm.
start your preparation?
So, like I said, that I was preparing for several exams. I was also appearing for EPFO, which is also conducted by UPSC only. So, my preparation continued side by side with several exams. So, I cannot pinpoint one specific point in time where I started preparing. But definitely, after notification comes, preparation picks up gear, and then only you put maximum amount of efforts because you have a deadline now.
Then how did you manage the time that you were preparing for the UPSC PFO exam as well and the RBI parallelly? Then how did you manage the time?
Hello.
Yes, you were parallelly preparing for the UPSC PFO. Then
Yes,
how
sir.
did you manage the time?
So I divided the time according to the content that I had to prepare. I knew that for RBI phase one, I had to prepare GA very well, and then for EPFO, I was doing some amount of accounts and commerce and those subjects. So I divided in according to the syllabus only. And since I had given RBI once before, so I knew what exactly I needed to do in order to clear the cutoff in phase one. So I focused on my strength, which was English and reasoning, and I tried to not miss any basic stuff in GK as well as quant. Like there are doable questions in both of these sections that will take you past the cutoff. So I focused on not missing those in my weaker sections and scoring in my in my strength sections, which were English and reasoning.
And reasoning also this time it was tougher as compared to the previous year. And many students those scored very good marks overall, but were not able to achieve the sectional cutoff. And questions were a combination of the puzzle, sitting arrangement, and miscellaneous questions. So I think 25 to 30 questions are from the puzzle, sitting arrangement only. So then,
Right.
how did you filter out that questions? Means you should attempt those questions only, and with the help of them, you can clear the cutoff. So how did you decide, and how did you filter out the questions?
So the first thing that I have developed a habit by giving more and more mocks was to take 2 minutes at the starting of each section to go through all the questions and mark the ones which you think are doable. Because there are times when you might start to attempt a puzzle and then you realize after you have spent 5 or 6 minutes on it that it's not, you can't figure it out. So I never attempted puzzles right at the beginning. I focused on decision making questions or critical reasoning kind of questions because those are, if you're good in English and you can understand those questions, you can easily filter out the answer from there. So I did those. I did miscellaneous questions. I did coding, decoding questions, and input output also. I believe if it is on the easier side, it's doable. So I focused on those questions, and these make up around, I think, 18, 19 questions, and which is good enough to clear the cutoff. Because you have to keep in mind that your reasoning score will not matter once you clear the phase one. So that's what I kept in mind.
Yes, we have to be smart also in while
Right.
attempting the exam, and smart study is also required for this exam.
Definitely. You cannot take it on your ego that I'm very good at reasoning, so I must solve a puzzle. I used to leave all puzzles on the beginning of the section. I never attempted a puzzle in the beginning. So I think if somebody is weak in reasoning, that's something they can follow.
Okay. And one more question from you, that you have appeared in UPSC 4 times. So
Right.
up to which stage you reached in the UPSC?
Sir, never couldn't clear mains.
Okay. So again, when you are preparing for any exam and you have seen 4 failures in mains,
They're not
so
four, two,
two
two.
times.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and 2 times you were not able to reach in for the mains.
Right.
Okay, then someone who is preparing for an exam and any aspirant, it is human tendency also that whenever you have seen some failures in the past, some many aspirants do learn from the past mistakes, but there is also a fear of failure while preparing, while sitting for any exam. Then mostly students face the stress of this. How did you manage that? Did you face such things?
Sir, it is, I think, when the preparation journey has been this long, it is very natural to feel this kind of stress or fear of failure, and I also faced it. But I think that in those times, you have to remain objective about your preparation. As long as you can pinpoint certain areas that you feel that you are lagging in, or you can actually pinpoint something where you know that I could have done this more or I could have done this better. So that rational thinking has to come to the forefront in such times. And of course, support from friends and family is very important. So yes, that's how it is.
Okay. Actually, that many students face this also, that repeated failure or same exam. Suppose someone is out in the final, means after the interview, many failed in the mains. Then again, I have to start from the zero, from
Right.
scratch. How did you motivate at that time?
Sir, I would like to say that once you have appeared for any exam, you do not start from zero. You start with that experience in your hand, and to analyze what you have done and why the result was what it was is very important. I learned from my first attempt at RBI because I was not able to clear the quant cutoff, and because I had analyzed last year's cutoff, and I realized that maybe okay, if I do 7 8 questions, I would be safe. So in order to do those 7 8 questions, I rushed through the paper and ended up missing the easy questions. So we do not start from zero. If you have appeared before in an exam, you're starting with your experience in your hand, and you must take that with you forward. Otherwise, yeah.
Zero means from phase 1 you have to start again. You have to read for phase 2.
True, but then if you're competing against somebody who's appearing for the first time, you have a significant advantage.
Yes. Okay, now comes to the phase 2 part. And when did you started your preparation, and what were the sources, major sources you followed?
Sir, as I'm doing management, as I'm doing MBA, so a lot of the management portion was covered in my regular course only. So I was confident in management, and apart from that, I took the CrackGradeB course, and it was the management section. I relied entirely on it. I revised it, I think, 9 10 times every day after the result came for phase 1. I've revised management every day, I feel. So I was sure that in this phase 2, uh, this was my first phase 2 and my first interview. So I was sure that management and English has to be my strength. So I have to maximize these. And I think I was able to do it. There was some amount of luck also, because in the phase 2 paper, out of 4 questions, 3 questions were of management only. So that worked for me. And for management, I only relied on the course and whatever prior knowledge I had due to my MBA. For finance, I did circulars. I did from directly from the website also, and there was a different section in the CrackGradeB course as well. So I combined these two for finance. Apart from that, schemes were very important this year, and schemes were not asked directly; they were asked in a more applied manner, so that if simply you have crammed up the facts, you might not be able to answer in the pressure and the stress of the situation. So schemes also I covered uh, from two sources. One primary source was CrackGradeB course, and another the same compilation that I referred to in phase one, I referred to here also. If as far as ESI descriptive is concerned, the questions were very unpredictable, and so there some of my UPSC knowledge did come into play, where I was able to write theoretical points and supplement my answers in cases where I was not very sure what I should write. And for English, I did not prepare anything specifically. English has always been my strength, and I capitalized on it. I used to read newspapers and editorials. From there only, I picked up points for the essay. Pressy and comprehension are a matter of more of comprehending what the material is given and writing from that only. For essay, I did not prepare anything specifically. I did read a lot of editorials on common expected topics like gender issues, climate change, and so on. So,
Okay, any
yes.
specific newspaper you are following for this RBI
Uh,
preparation?
I have always read Indian Express right from my UPSC preparation. After phase one result came, I started following Live Mint as
Okay. And about the descriptive writing, you were able to reach the word limit?
well. Yes, sir. I stuck to the word limit in all my questions, except for one question in economics where I mistimed a little bit and could not reach the word limit in one 10-marker question. Otherwise, I've stuck to the word limit in all my answers.
Okay, any specific strategy you followed in the descriptive writing? Means you write in point-wise format or paragraph-based format?
So for English, there was only one strategy that I attempted in decreasing order of marks. Essay has the highest amount of marks, so you attempt it first, and then Pressy or comprehension as you wish, same amount of marks. So it is important to realize that if you miss one sub point of comprehension, you only lose 5 or 6 marks. But however, if you miss writing the conclusion to your essay, you lose out on a lot more marks. So you should attempt in decreasing order of marks and time yourself well. If you have practiced writing, then try to achieve a speed of 30 to 33 words per minute while thinking, not blank typing while thinking, because the speed decreases when you think and type. So that was that. And in answers, I tried to structure answers in the format of introduction, body, and conclusion. If I was very sure about the content of my answers, then I use points. Like in management answers, I have used points. In ESI, since the questions were a little more ambiguous and I was not sure about the answers in two of them, I used paragraphs. So if you're confident about the content, you know you're right, and you have the substantial content, you can use points. And if not, then paragraphs are better, I feel.
Okay, and also many students admit that they should study the government scheme from UPSC magazines or they should study directly from the PIB. So can you clarify on that scheme pattern is a little bit different from UPSC and RBI exam, and UPSC does not ask in much depth like RBI was asking. So is it advisable to study the schemes those who are preparing themselves for anyone who's preparing for RBI exam, they sometimes they start following the UPSC compilations. So what is your view on, because you are from UPSC background and have cleared the RBI, so you can tell the better.
So I don't feel that UPSC magazines will cater to RBI because the level of detail that is being asked right from phase one, it's not present simply. When UPSC magazines do, they will try to analyze why the scheme is being launched, what is the purpose, what effects it will have. They are more of an analytical nature. But RBI, as far as schemes go, there is more of a factual element in it, and they must be studied in the same manner. Like, for example, even in phase two, there was a pension scheme asked, and the amount was asked, and age limit was asked. So these things are never covered in UPSC magazines, and so you should take up a source which is either the original source, which is very tiresome and quite long, and otherwise a source that is developed specifically for this exam. I feel that would be better.
And for the PIB?
So PIB, like if you're following any decent GA source, more important PIB information is mostly covered in it. And if you're reading a good GA source and you're reading a newspaper, I don't feel there is any need to cover PIB separately. I didn't.
Okay, okay. And how many months you covered for this phase 2 preparation, current affairs, specifically PIB and circulars
So
part?
for circulars I covered 3 quarters. Previous 3 quarters I covered, and for interview as well. And the current affairs, I had 6 months for phase one. I kept adding to that only. I didn't go back further.
Okay, okay. And how did you use the sources of CrackGradeB? Means many students ask that you should ask this question from the selected candidates. How did they use the material of the CrackGradeB while in their preparation?
Okay. So as I said, my primary source was CrackGradeB only, and for static portions, I've relied entirely on it. If be it management or finance, I've relied entirely on it. For ESI, I had my own UPSC notes as well, so I added those. And like certain topics like balance of payments or monetary policy, I had already studied, and so I used that. Apart from that, the biggest role it has played is in GA, quite comprehensive material available, and all the topics are separately addressed, like circulars, government schemes, phase two current affairs, and so that is, if you have studied that much, I don't think you need to step out anywhere else. That would be enough. Like apart, if you want to add another source, then I would suggest revising the same material again and again, rather than adding another source.
And did you also follow that our top 100 MCQ series?
Sir, actually, I followed some, but I couldn't follow all because some were released quite close to the exam. So I was already quite anxious. So I didn't want to add any new information at that time. But like, I think the content must have been the same that was given prior to in the course. So I revised what I had studied then only. I
Yes,
didn't,
actually, that questions are being prepared from the old content only.
right.
Yes, that is
So,
these questions are being provided. Those have a maximum probability being asked in the exam.
right. So if somebody has not studied the previous content, then it might be useful. But I
Yes.
stuck to what I had studied.
Okay, okay. And after that, we come to the interview point. It also played a great role in selection. Even many students who scored very high marks in the phase two, but still were not able to get in the final list, and due to low score in the interview. Nowadays, interview decide your selection. You
True.
cannot sit idle when you are scoring the highest marks in the phase two.
Right, sir.
And also you are not having any specific experience, work experience, not from the
Right.
economics background, only from the UPSC preparation background, and engineering candidate, and 6 year gap also. So you may be nervous for the interview.
I was very nervous, sir, because in the public services examinations, this was my first interview at all, at the RBI as well, and overall as well. So in my entire journey, this was my first interview. So I was very nervous. I was very concerned about the gap years, and I tried to think of as many scenarios and as many possible questions as possible. And it was addressed also. They took note of my academics, and then they took note of the gap as well. They asked me, why haven't you been working, or what have you been doing, what have you achieved in these years. And I think being honest about what I had been doing or what my preparation was the best strategy that anybody can have. If you have spent this time, dedicated it to some preparation, then you can own up to it.
So and many UPSC aspirants also ask that you should ask this question, that what they did reply for the gap years
Uh,
in
on
the interview.
in the interview. So personally, I may have been lucky because I wasn't grilled that much regarding the gap years. The panel members did address it. They said that you have a big gap in your resume, and um, after your engineering, why didn't you pursue some other qualification or took up a job along with your preparation? So I replied that I have spent this time, and I feel that it might have not have contributed to my resume on paper, but it has contributed to my personality and my knowledge. And I think that whatever I have achieved today is a cumulative of all that I have learned in these years. And further, they didn't grill me much because they went on to other aspects of my biodata. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what about overall experience with the interview board? And what other questions they targeted means on economics background or your optional or any other thing?
Right. So overall experience, I would say, was good. They were polite, very cordial, and they allowed me to direct the interview because they asked me, you can tell, they asked me for a topic which I was comfortable answering, and I took that opportunity to direct the interview and took it towards fintech, which I feel I'm strong in, and I had prepared for it. So most of the technical part of my interview revolved around fintech. I felt that I had previously decided that if I was asked which department I would like to work for or which field I was interested in, fintech would be my answer because it felt like a good combination of my skills and finance. So I had decided that, and they allowed me a chance to direct the interview towards that direction, and I took it. So they asked me about the fintech department. They asked me about regulatory sandbox, and apart from that, they also asked me some basic questions from economy. Like there was a situation based experience statement that was given by the panel member. He said that when the economy is doing bad, both the RBI and the government work together. But when the economy is doing good, the government and the RBI work in opposite directions. So explain this statement to me. So I was able to answer this, and then one of the members also addressed how my computer science skills would be useful for the RBI. So I had prepared an answer for it, and she was satisfied with my answer. Apart from that, my co-curriculars were also addressed since I'm a trained classical dancer. So they addressed it, and I was able to answer the questions, and so I think that worked in my favor as well. So overall, it was a good experience, I feel, and I was nervous definitely, but they tried to put me at ease, and I was fine after a while.
Okay, so it was your overall journey to this success. So what will be your advice to the future aspirant?
Uh, Sir, I feel that my success or my journey is a combination of a lot of factors and a lot of exams that I have given. So, from my own personal experience, I don't think anybody should draw any exact advice from it because it was a very big combination of a lot of things. But in general, I would say that in case just when you are giving exam after exam and are facing failures, then instead of looking for motivation, you should try to keep a, a very logical or a rational approach. You should see that I have these many marks and I have to reach these many marks, and what is the gap in between. So I feel that instead of taking a more emotion based approach, a more logical approach is helpful at those times. It gives you a clarity that this is where you are and this is where you need to be, and it allows you to think in a more clear manner. So that would be one advice.
Okay, also many students have seen that many also selected candidates also refer multiple sources, and also students, so future aspirants, even I've seen in the Telegram being discussed, sharing content of other platform to each other and using multiple sources. So is it have you have appeared in this exam and you have cracked? Is it really necessary to follow multiple sources?
So I feel it is not advisable at all to follow multiple sources. You can explore multiple sources and decide which works for you according to whatever your background is, whatever your previous knowledge is. But once you have decided, then you need to stick to one source. Uh, if you have the extra time, which I don't think anybody does with these exams, with phase one and phase two so close to each other and everything, if you have them, you can just make short notes of the same source, try to revise it as much as possible. I feel that if you're picking a good enough source, just doing it well is more important than doing another source. So, yes.
Okay. And now one question I generally ask to all selected candidates and our subscribers specifically.
Right.
In the era of marketing, that how did you decide to go for the crack grade B?
Sir, as you know that I had I have been preparing for a while, so I it was recommended to me by somebody who's also selected. So on based on that advice only, I took it up, and I found the content good and worth the entire journey. So yes, I'm not regretting this decision.
Okay. So thank you very much, Parul, for this session, and it will clear doubts of many aspirants who have a gap year, who are from UPSC background, and thank you for joining with us. And I wish you good luck for your future journey. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you.